Welcome to this APM Fundamentals of Project Management podcast from Parallel Projects Training. You should be using this in conjunction with our printed study guide, video lectures, and potentially a tutor-led course. For more information, please visit parallelprojectstraining.com.
Hello, my name's Paul Neighbour, and you're with us for the APM Project Management Fundamentals podcasts with John Bolton. Hello, John.
Hello, everybody.
So we're going to look at context, which is a funny word, or environment.
Yes.
Project context. So this is when you're delivering a project. No project is an island, so the project sits within an organisation, and the context is the external things outside the project. So that can be from the organisation itself or from the changes in the world out there and how they affect the project. So I think an example really helps to understand why context is important.
I always talk about if you imagine the organisation you work in, so let's say you work in a electronics company.
Yes.
You're going to be running a certain kind of project. You're
Yes.
going to be integrating firmware into some sort of equipment. Or so your projects are quite sort of, not samey because they're all unique, but they're all follow a similar theme.
Yes.
And you understand all the people in the business, you know who there are, you've got your area directors and your salesmen and all that sort of stuff. So you're kind of used to it and it's kind of familiar. If I took you out of that environment and I put you into a heritage organisation, you had to restore a 17th century tapestry.
Yes.
You probably wouldn't know where to start.
Yes.
And
Different context.
That's right, completely different context.
Yes.
You're still a project, but it's just in a completely different area of business.
Yes.
Or it might be in a different country, or it might be a different culture.
So if you move from the UK to the Middle East, for
That's
instance,
right,
that's going to be a different
that's right.
context.
That's right.
To
So
understand.
That's right. Yeah, if you
Legal framework.
yeah, if you're running
politics.
a project in Denmark, it's probably very different from South Korea. You know, so you need to
It's so
get
different from North Korea.
let's not go there. Eh? They've just exploded their first hydrogen bomb. Let's not talk about that. No, but you get the point. So you need a way of figuring that out.
Yes.
You know, as a project manager, chances are no one's going to tell you.
Yes.
You have to go and work it out for yourself.
Yes.
And the APM have a kind of little acronym that they refer to quite a lot. It's called PESTLE, and I'm sure people have heard of this before.
Yeah, it's used in business analysis quite often.
It's quite regularly used.
So PESTLE is political, economic, sociological, technical, legal and environmental factors.
That's right. So these different factors have a bearing on what you're doing.
Yeah. Should we run through an example?
Yeah, I mean, I'd encourage people to have a think of their own, but we'll give you some examples. I mean, a political context would be if you're working in a local authority,
Yes.
you've probably got quite a lot of pressure from elected politicians.
Yes.
And it would matter a lot as to who was in power,
Yes.
particularly,
Yes.
you know. So that would affect the way your project works.
And also national government, so you get a change in national government, but also internal politics within the different departments or the different teams.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
It's big P and little p.
Yeah, it is.
As they say.
So,
Economic. Local government is a good example, actually, of economic. So that's affected by the overall economy of the recession or boom time, public sector borrowing, but also the economic factors in the area that you're working in. You know, whether it's a prosperous area or not so prosperous area.
That's right. And you get also more real-time stuff, like if you're doing a lot of engineering and you need buying a lot of steel.
Yes.
Then the price of steel is going to have a big bearing on
fuel prices,
or fuel prices, or inflation, or exchange rates.
Changing oil prices has changed a lot of projects.
Right. It's changed the landscape a lot, hasn't it?
Sociological is the one people struggle with, but your local government one is quite a good example for sociological trends. So people live longer, they need more care.
That's right.
More diverse populations we have to serve.
People are becoming less and less receptive to travelling. They want to do remotely. They want to work from home.
Yes.
People have flexi time. If you're running a project and you're planning 5 days a week and you know that everyone's on part-time contracts and they're only there for 3 days a week, it's going to cause you problems. So you need to understand that, you know. So, I mean, if you're working shift time, shift work, it has a big bearing on the way you plan the project.
Yeah. Technological, I think, is quite an easy one. So it might be an IT project or any form of project usually uses some technology.
People get caught up with technology because they think it is just technology, like sort of bits and bytes and plugs and stuff. But it can actually be, even in something like a tapestry, you've got sort of restoration technology, paint technology, or brush technology. There's a huge technology is a very broad term.
Yes. Or software. I always think that the shift from doing drawings on a drawing board to CAD, you know, is a technical change.
But if you're in a business that's used to using a lot of robots,
yes,
you know, and you wouldn't want to start a project that was relying on a lot of human intervention, you know, so it does have a big bearing. Technology intercepts the big one, because some of these projects last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And by the time you've implemented it, it's out of date, like the computer in the space shuttle, you know.
I was going to tell you about my power stations, but anyway. Built on the process was so old that by the time you commissioned them, they were obsolete. So you had to buy like spares because this power station could last you 40 or 50 years.
Isn't it what they did with El Concorde, wasn't it? They bought all the engines up or something.
Did they?
So they had all the spare parts.
Yeah, you had to have spares.
Cannibalising parts.
Yeah, so you have to buy like some old processor that was made 40 years ago. Military is probably the same as that. They're legal, so the legislation, people understand that.
Health and safety
and
employment, discrimination, equal opportunities. But also, you know...
back to your local government, there's lots of legislation.
There is, but I mean, that legislation applies to all organisations usually.
Yes.
It's just that sometimes we think of local authorities as being the, you know, the kind of example that people do use, but we mustn't forget that it's not just them, you know.
Yes, but because they deal with people, they have a lot of... it's quite
everything deals with people.
Yes, that's true.
But I mean, legal as well. You might think about contracts as well. Contract law, freedom of information. It's not about being locked up. But it's the legal context.
So you need to understand the legal context in which the project is being delivered.
That's right.
Environmental, so we're all trying to reduce our carbon footprints and reduce waste and impact on the environment. So we need to understand what that means for the project we're managing.
That's right.
Yeah, it's one. If you're in the built environment, it's quite easy to understand, and they really understand that. If you're in an office environment, some people go, well, it's a bit more difficult to.
Well, it is. Do you conform to the Montreal Protocol? I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, that's what you're doing about the birds and the bushes.
Yeah. But I think there is a bit of that now because people are more conscious of energy consumption. Things like data centres.
Yes.
In the old days, you used to have great big rooms full of equipment and loads of air conditioning and stuff and fans, and these days it's like a little box in the corner, which has a huge, there is a big environmental impact on that. But.
Excellent, good.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast and found it informative. To order a study guide, video lectures or a tutor-led course to go with this podcast, please visit parallelprojecttraining.com.